Hello YouTube! Welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for checking out the new video. What this video is about was yesterday I came across some information that really had me start to think. And it had to do with a theory about a certain subject and what's causing it. And the more I thought about it and the more I pondered it, the more I started to realize this theory is actually based in serious science. And it has substance behind it. Now, what am I talking about? What subject? The Mandela effect. There are some of you out there a lot of you, that know what the Mandela effect is, and you see the changes and you believe in it. I happen to be one of them. There are those of you that know about the Mandela effect and you totally reject it. I understand that. If you're of that class and you're watching this video, please stick around and watch the video because it actually makes some sense. Now, there are those of you that may not know what the Mandela effect is, so I'm basically going to give you an explanation and then show you some examples. The Mandela effect, without getting into all the long, drawn-out details, is there are those that believe that reality around us is changing and that what things that used to be a certain way are different now, and according to all history, they have never been the way we remember them as they were. Now, to give you some examples of the Mandela effect, let me disappear and I'll bring them up. Okay, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A right now has a K. Many remember that it never had a K. Many remember Jiffy peanut butter. Now it's Jif and has always been that way. Fruit Loops, fruit with a U and an I, now it's Fruit Loops with two O's. Ford, the line across the F now has a curly Q, many remember a straight line. Volkswagen, the V and the W, many remember connected, now it has a line between the two. Looney Tunes, O-O-N, as in tunes, cartoons, now it's tunes as in music. And now the big one, this one is the one that's been floating around for a while, the Berenstein or Berenstein or Berenstain. Many remember Berenstein or Stein with an E and an I, and now it's Berenstain, and according to history has always been Berenstain and has never been Berenstein. Now, with that said, there are many theories that are based upon what could be causing this. And I've seen a lot of them. There are those that are believing that there are galaxies that are crashing, our galaxy's crashing to another one, and this is causing it. There are others that are believing that different universes, the bubbles of these universes are coming together, which is causing it. There are those that are saying, no, it's not bubbles, it's dimensional, that there are dimensional universes or dimensional realities that are crossing into one another, and we're popping in and out from one reality to another. Then there are those from the New Age community that believe that no, there are those of us that are rising to a higher plane of existence. Now, another theory, which is the one that stands strong above all of them right now, is that the LHCs, the Large Hadron Colliders, are causing this. And the main one is CERN. Now, CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, what they're doing over at CERN, we're going to get into in a minute. But I'm going to bring up to you essentially what we're talking about, what this possible theory that may be causing this is. And it has everything to do with particle entanglement. Now, as you see, what I'm showing you is a CGI of two particles that are in a line together, and they are connected, which means that what happens to one happens to another instantaneously. And the best way I can give you an example of that is I'm going to bring up an animation from one of my prior videos that gives you a good explanation of what particle entanglement is. So let me disappear again and we'll get right to that.
Then entanglement crushes our experience of space. Two objects, two electrons created together, are entangled. Send one to the other side of the universe. Now, Do something to one, and the other responds instantly. Instantly. So, either information is traveling infinitely fast, or, in reality, they are still connected. They are entangled. And since everything was entangled at the moment of the Big Bang, that means everything is still touching. Space is just the construct that gives the illusion that there are separate objects. Are we far enough down the rabbit hole yet?
Okay, with that said, he gave you an example of what I showed you back here earlier, which, let me bring that picture back up for you. Oh, hold up, here we go. Is simple. One particle being connected with another. But the actuality is, it's more. Let me bring up something from Wikipedia that gives you a better explanation of quantum entanglement or particle entanglement. Okay, and this is what we're looking at. Quantum entanglement or particle entanglement is a physical phenomenon that occurs when pairs or groups, not just one, of particles are generated or interact in such that the quantum state of each particle cannot be described independently of the others, even when the particles are separated by a large distance. Instead, a quantum state must be described for the system as a whole. Okay? So, essentially, rather than having two single particles, it would be more like this. Particles are exponentially entangled with one another. Okay, now the number of when one particle, the number of particles that are entangled with that one particle is theoretical, but the numbers go into the billions and beyond. What advanced science that they're doing at CERN, they probably know a whole lot more than those of us of laymen or those of us here in the general public that do have a scientific background understand. Not sure on the number. But when we take a look at CERN and what CERN is doing, CERN, this is the Large Hadron Collider, and they are running through a 17.5-mile track, 300 feet underground. They're running light beams, and within that light beam, we have been told that they're using lead photons. But they've been talking about using other exotic materials and more, and I'm sure they're using other materials. They're just not telling us what they're using. But what they do is they run these particles in opposite directions, okay? And they bring them around and they bring them up to the speed of light, and then they cross the beams. And when the beams come together, there is a particle crash. And these particles hit each other and they disintegrate. Now, when these beams of light, what they're carrying, they're not carrying 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 or 20. They're carrying millions upon millions of particles going in the opposite directions. And when they come together and they crash, they're literally disintegrating millions and millions of particles at one time. And then their cameras are taking pictures of this. Now understand, through particle entanglement, by the exponential numbers of when one particle is entangled with billions, possibly more, of other particles, as you've seen, what you do to one particle, you do to the other instantaneously. If this one turns, and they do it instantaneously. So if you disintegrate this particle, you disintegrate this particle. But because this particle is entangled with a billion or more other particles, what you do to this particle, you do to a billion others. And when you're crashing together and disintegrating millions of particles at one time, you got to take millions of particles times billions or more particles, and that's how many particles are being disintegrated at one time. So basically, when you take a look at the quantum world, here is your subatomic world, and these are all your particles. Now, this is just an example. And when they crash these beams together, and you've got millions and billions, this is what happens to the subatomic world. So in other words, it goes from looking like this to looking like this. Now, what is the importance about that? Well, here's where the whole theory comes together. You must understand that absolutely everything in our reality, everything in our world, from this remote control to this coffee cup to this thing of tape to my desk to my computer to my monitor to the house to my car to the roads to the air to the sky, me and you, we're all made up of subatomic particles, okay? So when they crash these beams together, if it looked like this, and now it looks like this, you've reduced the number of subatomic particles that are in the subatomic world that make up our reality. And when you reduce those numbers, there absolutely scientifically has to be an effect in the macro world, because we're going from this many particles to this many particles. Now, how these reduced numbers of particles interact with one another and re-entangle may very well explain why our reality is changing. Something to think about. Something to make you go, and do a little bit more investigation. I hope this video kind of cleared a few things up for you. I hope it gave you a new direction to look at the reality of what may actually be going on. For those of you that don't believe, I hope that this may give you, to show you that scientifically, if you reduce the subatomic particles in the subatomic world, you absolutely, positively, scientifically have to have an effect in our reality, because our reality is made up of the subatomic world. If you like this video, hit the share button, and please subscribe to the channel, and make sure to click on that bell. Actually, it's down in that corner. And when it comes up, click on notify me, and you'll get notified for any new videos for which I come out with. With that, I hope you all are having a fantastic and great day. Peace, and we'll talk at you later.